Welcome to the very last Ghosts Want You Dead presents Ghosts Want to Talk About AMC's The Vampire Lestat. I'm Matthew, reminding you once again that spoilers abound, novels and show proceed with caution. I regret to inform you that our dear Rebekah is a bit under the weather at present, so she will still join us, but first I'm just going to rush through the recap portion, and then Rebekah will add her thoughts at the end. In episode 7, The Failures, there is no pre-credits scene, so we get right to a little bit Lestat. Afterwards, Lestat's voiceover begins over a black screen as he replays the events of the decapitation from the end of the last episode. He relates a dream of birds and walking in the sunlight. He's hungry and the birds go quiet. Lestat is led by several servers to a table in the woods, the long table that has been referenced so many times, where a group of his past selves is assembled. As he sits, we shift indoors and the group changes. The 187th course, the soul, is announced. Elsewhere, Louis is regaining consciousness as Armand villain monologues at him. He makes excuses for himself and bitches about relationship problems. Louis gradually realizes he is still decapitated, his head on a spike facing his body. Back at Lestat's near-death experience fantasy dinner party, the group introduces itself. Magnus, Nikki, Louis, it's-a me, Mama, Antoinette, and TC are present. Claudia sends her mean-spirited regrets. Antoinette is amusing as the court reporter of the proceedings. The phantoms explain the circumstances of his decapitation and current whereabouts of his body. Back with Louis, Armand continues to villain monologue. Reid is introduced as studying vampires. He points out Lestat's body and explains his meddling in the band. Elsewhere, Daniel has taken Lestat's head to the bowling alley in a bowling bag. At the butcher shop, Louis is not yet ready to comply with Armand's bullshit, so Armand produces Regina from the walk-in, duct-taped in a wheelchair. Back in near-death experience dinner theater, Lestat's vampire babies and daddy continue to litigate his past. Back at the butcher shop where Louis is being held, Armand reveals he put together the whole Claudia look-alike thing as revenge and mind-controlled her through a lot of their interactions. Armand wants Louis to make amends or he's going to kill Regina. At the bowling alley, Daniel bowls and monologues at Lestat's head in a bag. Lestat is busy in his near-death experience dinner theater fantasy, but Daniel opens the bowling bag and sticks his own head in to do his villain monologuing, with his big head looming over the long table where Lestat's little family is assembled. It is silly, but also kind of fun. Alex arrives at the bowling alley. Daniel asks him why, but Alex doesn't speak, and Daniel makes ableist jokes. At the butcher shop, Regina makes excuses. Armand taunts and pokes Louis's body with his big knife. He commands one of his thugs to slit his own throat. He starts to have Regina kill herself as well, and Louis takes the bait and begins his apology. Back at the pretend dinner party, Lestat's imaginary friends recite his bad reviews. They produce the singer referenced in the novel and series that Lestat killed for a bad performance, to give notes on one of Lestat's own performances. The imaginary friends following along in sheet music and pointing out mistakes. The scene shifts again. The group is walking a path in the woods. They are lit by firelight, obviously heading to the witch burning from Lestat's childhood. Back at the table, he demands of imaginary Mama to tell him why she took him to see the witches being burned. We see her in the past holding him and forcing him to watch, with flashes of different instances of her declaring her love. Back at the table, Magnus confirms our earlier suspicion that Mama did indeed jerk Lestat off while tending his wolf wounds. Lestat moans in the background, mournfully, not sexily. Back at the bowling alley, Raglan James has arrived. He inventories the world's vampires. He has come for Lestat's head. At the butcher shop, Louis and Armand continue their spat. Armand directs Regina to slit her wrist, and she does. He is sore because Louis never loved him as much as he loved Lestat, and was just using him to make Lestat jealous or something. At the bowling alley, Raglan James reveals that the Talamasca is behind the whole great conversion thing. At the butcher shop, Louis continues rubbing salt in Armand's wound. He also begins to die. At the bowling alley, Raglan and Daniel say nothing of importance. Lestat's dream dinner party trial continues. At the butcher shop, Louis dictates his apologies via telepathy through Armand. Rapid cuts between the three: bowling alley, butcher shop, near death experience fantasy. Louis upsets Armand by relating via pity. He basically apologizes for being a shitty boyfriend and tells Armand that he is too damaged for a relationship, basically. Regina cries in the background. Armand seems to be satisfied and heals Regina's wrist wound, warns her against talking, and frees her. The doctor states his intention to reattach Louis's head. In the dinner party fantasy, Antoinette gives us her best Tennessee Williams, and Magnus pokes fun at it. Marius is also there now, and he says, Akasha, again. The imaginary friends continue to talk shit. Lestat laughs. Mama calls him a failure several times. He laughs more. An iPhone alarm goes off. Lestat decides it is his turn, and oh boy, it's time for a musical number. He stalks the crowd, recognizing people he has killed. Mama heckles him. He threatens to begin a song, but grows faint. He guiltily recalls a particular victim. Louis's brother appears to explain that Louis loves him even though he doesn't say it. He thanks him for loving his brother, but also laments that he isn't a woman. Lestat agrees partially. A bright light shines on them. We're finally getting to the near-death experience bit. In voiceover, Lestat tells us he woke up at the big shoe. He explains that Raglan James was there to tell him about what happened and how he saved him and Louis. Louis is also there. Lestat teases about after the concert and how he should have stopped it. He yells at Mama. He has a tantrum and calls her a monster. We join Lestat as he records the records that have served as voiceover for the season. He addresses the auction purchaser directly before extinguishing a cigarette. He mentions the Queen and the destruction unleashed. He tries to recall his earlier words, but then steps outside and surveys a scene of a post apocalyptic destroyed city and takes the blame for it. The end. Now, Rebekah will join us to offer her opinions. This was recorded via her iPhone on Zoom, so there will be a dip in audio quality. Apologies.
All right, well, why don't you announce me and that I'm sick? I don't know what you said before.
I already have announced you and that you are sick.
Hi.
Rebekah has joined us to give her thoughts on the episode and the season as a whole.
Well, I also want to know your thoughts on it because I haven't heard what all you've said. I enjoyed it. I thought it wrapped things up well. I liked his bowling ball bag Menti bee death circle. That was interesting. Did you like that as a plot device or not?
I am of two minds, and I think a lot of the viewing audience differs on this, and I think it is largely split between TV show only people and people who have read the books.
Sure.
I think TV show only people are frustrated that it seemed like nothing really happened.
Yeah.
I've encountered a lot of that online, that it was a whole lot of build-up with no climax.
I guess maybe because they didn't do the concert and you don't see Akasha, but to me that was dope. Like it was like, oh, okay, now we're ready to go. Now we're gonna see shit from Akasha's perspective and Queen of the Damned Crazy Pants stuff.
People who have read the books know that that is essentially the function of the novel in the series as well. 90% of that book is all Lestat flashbacks to his life story thus far. The music stuff is just sort of tacked on at the beginning and the end.
I did enjoy, I don't know, more of an exploration with his relationship with music and his feelings about the music he was making. I think that was touched on a little bit more. I enjoyed his anger at incestuous it's a me mama and rage and like his realization that all of this has been Armand Arun bullshitter situation and also being manipulated by Raglan as well and like whatever they've got going on. Like I think at the end when he's like, whoever fucking brought you here, like he realizes that she didn't come because she loves him, because it's a me mama. She came for some bullshit purpose. And I enjoyed that sort of revelation. It kind of takes the punch out of all the weird incestuous bits in that you do sort of see her more as a villain in his life while also recognizing it's not entirely that. I liked old Armand's crazy, like, now you tell me you're sorry. Like, that was pretty funny.
It was funny. Something you will not remember that I thought was an interesting nod, how he threatens to sew Louis's head to Regina's body.
That does sound like a familiar thing I remember there being something about.
In the Vampire Armand, sort of just as an aside, he mentions that before they executed Claudia, he tried a little experiment where he cut off her head and tried to sew it onto an adult vampire body to sort of give her what she wanted in a mad scientist kind of way.
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was clearly a Easter egg for book readers.
Yeah.
The book did pretty much the same thing. So,
Yeah.
as I was saying earlier, I can see how just viewing it as a piece of television and not having any knowledge of what comes next, I can see how it would be a frustrating season of television because it's only 7 episodes and mostly all setup. So I can see why that would be frustrating. And I'm like, really? That's it? Like, I still think they could have made this at least 10 episodes and given us more flashback stuff.
I do agree. I feel like, with what we were given, I just feel like there were a lot of things that could have been further explored. Did like Armand's little like, if you don't also say you're sorry, I'm gonna be a dick and murder this girl in front of you and not let you live. That was crazy. I don't know. I've never really liked Armand even in the books.
I didn't either in the books, and it's probably just because I'm shallow and the actor is hot.
I can say that Lestat's entire presence and countenance and being has been very like personally connective for me as a kind of emotionally volatile, a little bit of a show pony sometimes, or I used to be weird bisexual person, vampire. I mean, I'm not a vampire. I don't know. His entire Sam Reed's portrayal has been, to me, the closest to the books, as well as just personally inspiring to me. I don't know. I've really enjoyed it. I started trying to watch the entire series over last night in between coughing fits, and I enjoyed it.
I will probably do that too once I finish rewatching Mad Men. I think, sort of back to what we were saying, they adapted the book well. I think even with the many changes, it was true to the spirit of the book. But I can see how people who are not familiar with the books would be disappointed.
I've
Just
also seen people who are familiar with the books not be happy with the adaptation.
so have I.
I don't really see their point. I am a little bitch about adaptations a lot of the time. So I can sympathize and identify with the feeling of like loving something and being very afraid someone's going to fuck it up with their own vision that is not the vision that you've experienced, especially like book to TV. I grew up reading J.R. Tolkien and Isaac Asimov and C.S. Lewis's space business and a lot of like old sci-fi and some fantasy, although Lord of the Rings was a little bit the farthest I went with fantasy. I'm not a fantasy guy. I had a very deep love and appreciation for those books, especially The Hobbit. I also loved like the 1970s cartoon Hobbit. And when they made the big to do to da giant, great huge landscapes and action packed adventure blockbuster hits, to me, even if they had done everything word for word to the books and stayed very, very true to it, the entire feeling and vibe of the production was so very far flung from the quiet, mystical, wistful adventure that, like, to me was this not some over the top dramatic thing, but like a quiet, almost more introspective journey. I just did not appeal to me at all. So I guess for some people who may have interpreted and felt the books differently than you or I did, maybe that people are experiencing that. But to me, the entire vibe and the entire vision is very connected to the books, and it's one of the best adaptations I've seen in a while of different, of book to film.
Well, I do think probably a lot of that credit goes to the fact that Anne Rice's son is an executive producer.
Yeah, I think that often helps.
As we have discussed, we're not listening to or watching any of the like after show content or podcasts, so we don't know what the people involved in the production of the show have to say about it. But I just assume because of the involvement of her son, they maybe stayed truer to the books than they might have otherwise.
I definitely think like vibe check is right. And I do think when doing an adaptation, it is fine to create variation. I definitely, we've talked about this before. I think aging up Claudia was the exact right fucking thing to do. There are people that hate that they changed the timeline and that they made Louis a Creole man and like that really pissed some people off. And to me, that's just like, well, that's just showing some colors there, I think, as far as people that are like, I don't know, to me, they're in the same camp that think that Tom Cruise was the best Lestat or something. I don't know. But I think that all of those choices were good.
Well, if you recall, I don't know if you do, as you probably saw the film and read the books after I already knew you,
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
that when the film was initially made, Anne Rice was pissed about it and
Yeah.
like gave shitty interviews being mad that Tom Cruise was cast.
Yep.
But then after the film was released, she
Praised him.
retracted those and said, never mind, I was wrong, he was great. So
Well, it did well. So maybe she felt the need to do that, or Scientology was going to burn her house down. But either way,
I enjoyed the season and I enjoyed the episode, though I do admit I too felt a bit of the like, that's it, nothing's gonna happen that's going to advance the plot.
I did have that moment when it got to the end there. I was a little bit disappointed not to see Akasha, or at least get teased more than seeing her ruins. I mean, I think that was a cool tease, but I also think it would have been a little helpful to see a little bit more of her. I could see how this season could be interpreted as off the rails or not quite as on track, but I honestly think, like you said, it's fitting the book. It's really fairly well followed the book. And I think what was off putting about it in the beginning for me was the chaotic, all over the place mental state of Lestat that was being examined. Didn't necessarily make for incredibly followable television, but they picked it up relatively quick and put it more, gave more perspective to the narrative and expanded it out fairly quickly within the first few episodes. So hopefully, have they gone ahead and said yes, they've renewed it? Because I know there was question like,
they have not, but they probably will on Friday because they are doing a panel and a big presence at the San Diego Comic Con. They have the biggest section at Comic Con, and the actors are going to be there and all of that. And I imagine they will probably announce the renewal at that. That seems to be the consensus on social media.
well,
And
that seems reasonable enough.
like we've talked about, this season has significantly outperformed the previous ones, which is annoying because while this was still good, I do think the first two were better.
I liked the first two more as well.
It seems pretty likely that there will be a renewal on Friday. They're still making that fucking Mayfair Witches show that no one watches. So, although I am still mad at them for canceling Talamasca, which I thought was fun. That's what
Yeah.
you ought to do is watch more of that. Well, I liked it. You liked it.
We liked it. I love Sam Reid and I like Jacob Anderson. I think they Both are real good. And I mean, I like the actor that plays Armand. I don't necessarily like Armand, but I look forward to what else they're going to do next.
Maybe we'll be back in like 2 years to do this for Queen of the Damned when it
Yeah,
is
maybe.
made. As we may have mentioned before, if you now find yourself bereft of hot gay TV vampires, this would be a good time for you to start Dark Shadows, which we talk about every Monday. And you can listen to our or watch on YouTube our Dark Shadows, the beginning explained, where we will get you caught up to episode 210 of Dark Shadows. Stay with us and watch Dark Shadows with us. It's fun, I promise.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, if you're not going to do that, well, goodbye, I guess. Oh, uh, follow us on Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky and YouTube and Reddit and whatever at Ghosts Want You Dead.
Yes, please.
Join our Patreon at patreon.com/Ghosts Want You Dead, where we offer fun bonus content in exchange for your dollars. This month on our pretentiously named book club Tome Troop, we will be discussing Anne Rice's The Vampire Lestat novel. So you might be interested in that and should head over to Patreon so that you can join us. Okay, bye.
Yep. Bye bye.